Welcome back to Skeet Guitar. In this toolkit lesson today, we're going to be looking at chord economy. What that means is keeping fingers anchored wherever possible so we move through our chords smoothly and easily. By the end of this lesson, you'll know how to move between chords smoothly, a little bit like a snooker player. You're not just potting the ball, but you're also setting the next shot up. I'm Skeet, let's dive straight in. Most players lift every finger for every chord, but smooth playing comes from economy, keeping what you can and only moving what you must. Let's have a look at a few examples. So for exercise 1, I'm going to use Paolo Nutini's Candy. It's a 4-chord song, and 3 of the 4 chords always leave one finger anchored to your fretboard, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. So the 4 chords we're going to need are A minor, E minor, G, and D. So let's start with the very first chord change, A minor to E minor. Now notice how my middle finger stays rooted, it stays anchored to the D string, string number 4. And all I do for the E minor chord is lift the ring finger up and bring the index over the top of it, right? So the next chord we need is a G major from an E minor. Well, we're already playing one of the notes, aren't we, on our index finger here. So for the G major chord, we simply lift our middle finger, place it on the 3rd fret of the low E string, and we can take our ring or our pinky and place it on the high E string in the 3rd fret. The final chord we need is a D. Now, in this version, there is no way of anchoring to the fretboard for that chord change. So the thing with anchoring is we take the opportunity at every time it's available, but it isn't always available. So for the D, we're just going to go from the G major to the D. Now, if we were in a G add 9, well, like from my Everybody Hurts lesson, you can leave this finger anchored, but in this instance, we're not playing the G add 9, we're just going to play the G. So let me play through that maybe 3 or 4 times for you, nice and slow. Pay particular attention to where my fingers are anchored. So it's the middle finger for the first chord, then it's the index finger coming over, okay? Try and join in if you can, but make sure you're using the correct fingers. So after 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So don't forget, on that last chord, the skill really, I suppose, is knowing when you can anchor throughout a song. And every song we play will be slightly different, depending what chord comes before it, what chord comes after, so on and so forth. But when you know when to make that jump, it's ideal, isn't it? It's a good skill to have. Right, so let's have a look at another exercise. Let's use A minor, C, and G for this one. I've got no particular song in mind, but, you know, there are a ton of songs, aren't there? Isn't Knocking on Heaven's Door, I think that's A minor, C and G. But anyway, so I'll play in A minor. Now, one thing about an A minor chord is the C major is its relative major. So within an A minor chord, you're already playing 2 of the 3 notes we need for a C major. So all you need to do is lift the ring finger from the 2nd fret of the G string, string 3, and bring it up to the 3rd fret of the A string, string 5. But you're not going to lift the other fingers. We see so many players kind of and throwing the fingers around. Let's just learn to very efficiently just move this one finger. So let's just play A minor to C, 3 or 4 times over and just get this sort of movement under our fingers before we move on from the C to the G, okay? How are we getting on, guys? Are you still with me? If you're getting any use out of this lesson at all, please like and subscribe me. Leave me a comment. Let me know if this has helped you. You can also drop me a comment and let me know if there's any other techniques you'd like to look at, or even if there are any songs you'd like to look at. So the next bit we're going to tackle is a C major to a G major. Now, many beginners play their G major like I've just done in the previous example, but this time for finger economy, we're going to finger the G chord differently. Now, if we look at a C major chord, we're already making the shape we need for a G on the 3rd and middle finger, aren't we? Okay, so it makes sense to just play the G and lift the shape up simultaneously and just drop the pinky on the E string. So let's try that chord change 2 or 3 times. Join in with me if you're able, okay? So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, change. Now notice the economy of movement in my fingers there. When I go from the C to the G major, I leave my index finger, it's just hovering around here. Now, I do actually have a video called Idle Finger Syndrome, which delves a little bit deeper into this. It's stopping our, making us aware that our fingers can wander off when we're not using them. So it's about keeping the fingers you're not using in the game, as I made the reference earlier to like a positional shot in snooker. You're not just potting the ball, you're lining up the next shot, okay? So let's try A minor to C to G, back to A minor, and let's put that on a loop just a couple of times. Join in with me if you're able. So we'll start with the A minor. 1, to C, to G, back to A minor. So for the final example, I think I'll use one of the band songs. I'll do Wonderwall by Oasis. They've recently just been on tour in the UK, so they're all in the news at the moment. And to me, love or hate them, Wonderwall's a great song, and it's the perfect example to show you about anchoring on here, okay? So if you don't know the chords, every chord has these 2 fingers anchored on here. Again, I have videos for 4 chord songs, ideal for beginners because 2 of our 4 fingers are tied up for every single chord, okay? But with Oasis, so if I just call out the open chord, and you have to keep these 2 anchored on at all times, okay? So it starts with an E minor. Then it's going to go to a G, so we've only 1 finger to move. Then it goes down to a D, but we're leaving this on. So again now, We remove the middle finger, take this down to the G string, and then this, we're going to lift this finger up by one, insert the middle finger underneath it so it's playing like an A sus with these on. So there's a very clear path all the way through this where we can leave stuff anchored, yeah? Let's just give that a go. So those two fingers anchored really give us a grounding on the fretboard. Using these types of chords, we only have to use two fingers as well, so these are ideal for beginners. Might be worth noting, a lot of people play Wonderwall wrong. They change on the beat, and it doesn't change on the beat. It changes on the offbeat of the first beat of the bar. So on the E minor chord, I'm not going to delve too deep in here. I have this habit of getting sidetracked and digressing. But if anyone is interested in Wonderwall, goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and. So the chord change should be coming on an upstroke, yeah? Look. 1, 2, and. Then back on the 1. So that's a bonus bit of the lesson that I hadn't planned. Sorry about that. So that's chord economy, guys. By keeping your anchors and minimizing your movement, you can make your chord changes not only smoother, but just much more musical. Try it with these chord changes and you'll notice the difference straight away. Drop me a comment, let me know if any of those chord changes were more challenging than others for you. I'm sure I could cover it in a toolkit lesson somewhere down the line. So drop me those comments, guys. I'm always happy to help. If you've enjoyed this lesson, please hit like, leave me a comment and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future lessons. I post a brand new lesson every Wednesday at 7 p.m. UK time, and throughout the week I post lots of hints and tips and even some mindset stuff, which a lot of people are really connecting with right now. So I will see you next Wednesday. Until then, happy playing. Do your practice, guys. I'll see you soon.